You have to unmute yourself.
Okay, I hope we're live. I hope there's sound.
You know what is so funny? I was going to talk to you before we went live that I think StreamYard made a change to the mute yourself and the off and on mute, that auto mute thing with the video.
Oh,
It made
yeah?
a change. It doesn't auto unmute us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forgot to tell you about that. So we're just tinkering around with tech again. What do you know?
It figures.
Oh, man.
How's everybody out there? How's everybody doing? Everybody well? Huh? I mean, my goodness. So, hold on. You know what? It's interesting. Okay, when you do so many different events, hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. It's good to see everybody. We are having some fun, and we were up to the last minute trying to get this.
Literally, I'm still typing. I'm still typing right now.
All right, well then,
get ready for this one. So
I'll go to myself for a little bit. How's that? So then that way you can look down and type and do whatever you want to do. How's that? No, this is a good one because Heather thought of this one, and I thought this is a really great idea. I said that's pretty smart. Have some good thinking there. So hopefully this is of interest of everyone out there. Let's take a look and see who's out here. We have greetings from the low country of South Carolina. Actually, Hilton Head, right? Exactly. No, I'm just kidding. I might as well do it and bring it up. Where are you from? Country,
right. I know,
city?
you're going to get it. You're going to get it from everybody. So.
I get it from everybody. That's exactly right. So let's see who else is out there. We have greetings from near Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. Then we have Victoria, British Columbia. Hey, kids, good to see you again. Grins. I just had to click in a different window. There you go.
It's because he's just always hanging out with us. That's why he's
Very
everywhere.
For sure. That's right. A very busy day, but fine. Great. Hey, yay, audio. Yay, commercial is finished. Okay, good. Glad the commercial was finished. News. Always good to do that. If you need me to, just tell me and I can play a 30-second timer or something.
All right. You know, it's important. It's important to note that they don't really miss anything at the beginning of the show. Like if they can't hear us or if there's an ad on or something, it's just Michael and I yammering about who knows what. So it's all
yap, right? Just sitting there yapping, right?
Exactly.
We got a barcode. I'm not a barcode, a QR code up in the top corner there. You can click on it, and I believe it's up that way. I think I'm actually pointing to it. That'd be really cool if I am. And then if I move my seat and I move over here, then I have to point like way over there, and Heather has to do it. So, no, it's really cool. The other way. Good try. I think that's right. I hope it is. We'll see. We'll see when we get it done with it. But we are tinkering with tech, and that will show you the website. If you click on that with your cell phone, a lot of cameras, you can just point the camera to it, click the QR code, and you go right to it. Also, you can use Google Lens. I recommend Google Lens. I absolutely love it. Actually made on my, they don't call it desktop, wallpaper or something on a phone. I think it's called a wallpaper, not desktop. But anyway, it's on there as a link now too. I have Lens there as well. I just started using it more and more. Yeah, it's really kind of cool. So go learn a little bit about tinkering with tech. Today, we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to our heart, right? I mean, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, if it weren't for this word right here, you and I would have never met each other because it was the word community that brought you and I together.
So we want to put that up there? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Boom, there it is.
So we're going to talk. Yeah, we're going to talk today about online community. This is a conversation with Tinkering with Tech. In case you were wondering what in the world have I tuned into, we're going to have a conversation about online community. We're talking specifically about online community today because obviously there's like neighborhood community and community like cultural communities. There's lots of different ways that you can express the word community. But I think they all kind of relate to each other. That's why we use the same word for these things, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. I think I'm going to, I need to switch some things real quick.
Like this comment from Mike says, y'all were in a commune?
Yes.
No. Well, yeah, actually we kind of were. We drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, that's right.
We were definitely a part of G Plus, Google Plus, as it was called. G Plus
Exactly.
was where we met, and that they had a thing that they actually called communities at that time. That
Oh,
was
yes.
the
Love
best
communities.
online solution to community gathering I had ever seen, and nothing has compared to it since, in my opinion. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. So,
Yeah, especially when it first came out. Seriously, because they had it was very feature rich. You could start hangouts, you could do all kinds of stuff within that community. It was really, really well thought out. And of course, it goes away over time.
yeah, which is a bummer because it was something that we utilized quite a bit. I mean, I personally grew my own business that way, so that was amazing and wonderful. But we are still trying to keep something like that alive in this day and age, and we're going to have a conversation about that today because I'd like to get your opinions on what community is to you, and to also hear some of your solutions to how you've connected with other people online. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So,
And
um,
we did get our community to participate in that as well,
of
which
course, I
is
mean, first of all, we had to tap the best community there is, right? We had to tap their wisdom and sent out a really quick. Thank God they're also good at filling out forms and stuff. So on a last minute basis, but they all answered and gave us some good feedback. So we're going to talk about their feedback as well as our own conversation. So what is online community? What in the world? What in the world? What
Yeah,
is
and
it?
those of you that are not in the community, those of you that please leave your comments out there because we'll bring those up as well because we want to hear from some of you. What does community mean to you, and what communities are you part of? All this is going to take place today, so that's what we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
We really appreciate too. We were in there reading before we got in here. We read some of the ones that we heard and everything. It's really, really quite cool. I mean, some really good responses you guys gave too, and we appreciate that because we kind of feel like, I mean, I kind of looked at Heather and I said, that's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, really, that's it. It was encouraging to see that we are fulfilling some of those requests that you guys had mentioned. But then it also gives us some ideas for what we might want to do too. But what is it to you, Michael? I want to know your definition of online community.
that's a great question because, and I actually answered too. I answered in the form just to see how the form worked. But my thing about community is it has to be collaborative. It has to be where it's interact. I mean, because I'll give you an example. On YouTube, they have the word community. Okay. It says community. That's not community. That's just my channel. And it's almost like a one-way street. I think it has to be collaborative and coming up with an answer together. To me, that's what we do at work. I tutor Spanish to young kids at school and stuff. I did that for years. And we always took a test together. How often do you take a test together? That's community, that's building, that's what we do at work. When we have a problem, we brainstorm together. And to me, that's community, and that's bringing all that together. So that's kind of my thoughts of community and what it means to me. So anytime we can have this, just because it's you and I started this community, doesn't mean it's like, it has to be, oh no, it has to be stringent. This is us. This is what we do. It has to be collaborative. That's my thoughts anyway. Boy.
Helen agrees. So your thoughts are pretty good there. Engagement. That's what Lolan says.
I agree.
Engagement. And I like that. So for me, I love the collaborative aspect of a community. I think that is first and foremost, but I think engagement is the second thing to it, because you can create a place where people can collaborate together, but if people don't engage within it, there is no collaboration going on and the community doesn't exist. So I totally agree with both you and Lolan that's what I think community is to me, and especially because we're talking about online community. So
yeah, exactly.
I want to make sure that's what we got here. Let's see. I'm going to read this one from Phil. For me, a community is any place where we can get together. That could be through hashtags, comments on a post-game show night, or of course the bar. Right.
Yeah.
Except we are specifically talking about online communities. So yeah, I mean, like I said in the very beginning, there's, neighborhoods and
Mhm.
cultural communities and things like that. But we're talking about specifically online, because the end goal to this whole thing is how do we create an online community
Right.
around our interests and what we want to do. So that's what I want to talk about today specifically. And
Yeah.
conversation, Jalen says conversation. So I think at one point I remember when Google Plus communities were out, one of the biggest things that we loved about it was there were 3 C's involved, and it was communication, conversation, or it was
Collaborate.
communication and collaboration, and then there was another C, and I can't remember it, but I bet we'll figure it out before the night's done.
All right.
But
Well, let's
anyway,
hear what some of our community said.
yes, let's go
Let's
to
do
it.
that. You ready? Here we go. How about this? This is, what does community mean to you? A creative community, distraction from reality.
I
Wow.
like that. I
That's
like
pretty
that.
deep. Cousin Russ got a little deep on us there. No, it's good though. I like it. And what else do we have? A group of like-minded people helping each other in whatever way they can. Yeah, I like that too. That's a great way to put it too. Like-minded people too. That's one thing. It's like, that's why you join certain communities. You have maybe
Right,
a
if
church
you're
community, or you have whatever community, even online.
yeah, like I hear that there are people who are into things like hiking, like that outdoor
Yeah.
activity where you actually go climb rocks and stuff. I mean, I've heard about it. I don't know
Yeah, I don't know what any of that
but
is, but
I'm
yeah.
just saying I've heard that, like, and then they join like a hiking group where people who also are like-minded and do weird things like hiking
Yeah.
would get together and do that. I've heard of it. I mean, I don't do it, but I'm just saying.
100%. I'm right there with you. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And then what else? We had people with similar interest and values supporting each other. Yeah,
Yeah, along the
absolutely. I
same
mean,
lines.
again,
Yeah.
same lines. That similar interest thing. Yeah, it's absolutely. And then Mark says, community is a collective of individuals with a common interest. Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Common
Very
interest.
nice.
All of us kind of fell into that same pattern there, huh? Of what
Yep,
we thought
just
that was.
several different ways of saying some of the same things. I like this from Lolan. Andrew's definition describes my success circle. So that's Lolan already jumping ahead to, does she have one? Does she have a community? And she sure does. April says, great topic being discussed by 2 people who truly know what it means to create and be part of a community. That's awesome.
Well,
Thank
that
you,
is
my
sweet.
friend.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks, Andrew. Virtual bars are the new trend. I think I missed this one. One of the best online bars I've ever seen. Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Exactly.
So we heard what it means to them, and them meaning our community members. But one of the things that I was curious about was, why would you join or facilitate an online community? So there's a couple of things here. When you go to join something, especially online, you never really know what you're committing to, and
Right.
you don't really know what it is until you get into it, right? Like,
That's true.
I mean, a knitting club, for example, I would hope has to do with knitting. That would be my hope. But it's quite possible that you end up in, something. So I don't even know. Knitting was not a good example for this, but you never know what in the world they end up doing in there if you don't know what knitting is, for example.
Yeah.
But so you have to ask yourself, why would you join? And then I think part of that question too is where is it happening? Because we talked about neighborhoods being community, and there's this thing, some of you probably have this in your area, called the Nextdoor app, where you join like a neighborhood. It's your actual neighborhood, but it's all of you connected by an app or something, right?
Yeah, it's a nightmare. I'm just kidding.
It's a nightmare. And that's kind of where I was going with it. Was I don't know anyone who's had a wonderful experience with that app. I mean, maybe I'm speaking, I don't know everybody. So, but my thought on that was, you join it for what reason? Because you want to know what's going on down the street, or because your dog is missing and you're hoping your neighbors will help you find it, or you'd like to get rid of the furniture that you've had and you need somebody to come pick it up, I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons why you join a group, right?
100%.
Yeah.
I like
So,
I like this from April.
okay.
To me, community is a group of people who desire to belong and who want to be a part of the same environment and culture.
There you
Yeah,
go. There
I
you
agree.
go. Yeah. I mean, that's another point too, is that, we talked about having like-minded individuals, but also finding the people that you actually belong to, because not everybody fits into the same groove.
That's right.
It's a little bit more than just being like-minded. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very well put. All right, let's look at here, I'll go to this. So let's look and see what some of the community put about this one. Let's see here. Let's go to helping others out. Dave's just plain and simple. Dave says helping others out. That's so true. I mean, just helping other people.
That says a whole lot right there about helping others, because I think when you join something, be it as a member or as somebody who's starting to, trying to facilitate a group or a club or a community, that really should be your first priority, is to help others, because you're going to get a heck of a lot more out of it. That's just my opinion, but
yeah, no, I agree 100%. Yep. And then friendly, safe, non-judgmental atmosphere. I think that's pretty important on the communities that I join. I think that's a big thing. I get deterred from the ones where people are like, hey, this isn't on subject, or this isn't this, or this isn't that. I think you have to be able to be, I think it's part of being human. You know what I'm saying? Open it up a little bit and learning a little bit more about the different people.
It's kind of like the Nestor comments can get a bit strange at times. They go off topic and veer in all different directions. So yeah, I think it's nice when you do find a community, like, they're not all equal, right? We do kind of have to admit that they're not all equal. So when you find one that's worth hanging out in and being a part of, you do exactly what that comment said. You are able to be in a non-judgmental, safe area, hopefully. Right?
Yeah, I hope. Yeah. Hey, folks, if you're out there, give us a thumbs up too. Give us a thumbs up and like, or whatever it is, on whichever platform you're on. Be sure to do that. We appreciate you guys. And remember, tinkeringwithtech.net, and go check us out if you don't know what it is. Anybody that's rewatching this, we can show that. Okay, so the next one, how about just sharing information and supporting others? Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's so, and that's part of the collaborative part. You know what I'm saying? The sharing of information, sharing and showing some really cool stuff, and learning more. I mean, that's one thing I learned about tutoring and teaching, is just because I'm teaching it doesn't mean that I can't learn too. And that's what he's talking about, like sharing that information. And I learned something in the middle of doing something that I'm teaching. So it's a lot of fun. And
so the question when we asked this was, what are you looking for most of all when you're joining a free community? And we were specific about a free community, because obviously you can join paid for communities, and those paid for communities can have some varying options that you might be looking for specifically, like, needing specific help on a specific topic, for example. Or you could be joining, just because you want to hang out with those people, or learn more about a topic or something that is in the free realm, is what I was trying to go for there. But when one of the answers, and I don't have the name of the person who said it, was conversation around the topic and purpose of the community. And I thought that was kind of important to mention, because if we're going to talk about the Tinkering with Tech community, for example, if we all got together and I just started having a conversation about my art project that I was doing today, it would kind of be unfair to all those people in that community, because we're here for tech, right? So I kind of think, like, in part of this conversation and what we're thinking about here, it just popped into my head that some of us need to sometimes ask ourselves, are we doing the right things in our communities for each other and those people, and keeping, just talking about the Nextdoor app, I think just sent my head in a different direction than today's conversation. I made that mistake, I guess, but
there you go.
Anyway. Yes. So then that brings us to, how do you do it? So what's an interesting conversation, I think, is the different ways you can have communities online. Now, we're all familiar with Facebook, love it or hate it. It doesn't really matter because it's there and it's prevalent and a lot of people use it. So there's always a big debate. Do you make a Facebook group? Facebook groups are positive. They can be very informational. They can be very active. So use Facebook. I mean, it's just such an easy answer, right?
Can be, yeah. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows the product. So it's like,
yeah, and a lot of people are on it. So I mean, and like April says right here, loves Facebook. Yes, she do.
Exactly. Yeah.
But here's my question for those. There are people out there who are no Facebook user. There are those who do not like Facebook, or like myself, doesn't know how to use Facebook. I'm desperately trying to start a Facebook group over there. I really am. I've been trying since before COVID, and I'm no good at it. I've messed up so many things. I feel like people are just gonna hang up the. I don't even know what you do to get rid of it. Like, I don't even know. But it's so hard. It's so hard. So I wanted to kind of have a conversation about the different ways and places you can have a community. So, what are some of your thoughts on that, Michael?
I would love that. I mean, seriously, I'm with you on that. I mean, I would like to encourage people, especially the ones like, if you've never used Discord, there's some great communities in Discord. There's some great conversation. There's some great teaching in Discord. And I know a lot of people don't do that. And a lot of people never even heard of it. And how that started was a lot of the gaming group, or the kids that do gaming and stuff. That's where they talk, like voice talk, not video, but just voice talk to each other during a game and things like that. And it really is a great community. There's a lot of, not a lot, but there are like some of the products out there, like OBS or Epic Pen, some of the things that I've talked about on our show and our thing. They have great Discords where you can go in and ask and give feedback and do all that kind of stuff. Discord is a really great thing for community, I think, because you can pass along information, and it's just, you go to what they call a server. It's kind of like, I guess that would be considered like a Facebook group, right? I mean, I would imagine.
Yeah, the server would be like a group. Yeah.
Or like a group.
Discord is like Facebook, and then a group would be a server inside of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have just different servers, with one for OBS, one for Epic Pen, one for Tinkering with Tech, one for, Craft Shack for Heather, that kind of thing. And then you can join those and be a part of those and engage in those a lot of the same ways. And it doesn't have to be with your voice. It can actually be, thought everyone left Discord. I'm still there. Yeah, me too. I'm still there.
Me too. Well, but
because I love it. But
I think the thing to consider too is that Facebook and Discord are free.
Yeah.
So, it's a platform that you can actually, invest your time and energy into without investing your dollars into. And there's some pros and cons to that, as there is with anything. If you're not paying for it, then you have to suffer through whatever changes they make and stuff like that. But I agree with you about Discord. I think it definitely, there's a learning curve to it, but I think once you have used it, if you've used it at all, then you get it. You'll get it after you use it. It's just like anything else. But I feel the same way, that there are people who do not like Discord because it doesn't seem normal or natural to them. That's how I feel about Facebook. So then we're at a dilemma. This is the conversation I want to have. We're at a dilemma. I'm not on Facebook, but you are. I'm on Discord, but you are not. So how do we communicate with each other and create that collaborative community? And that's what I kind of want a conversation about. So what is Mike saying about Discord?
Discord is good for voice chat during games. For me, the downside of Discord is the frequent alerts. I turn them off, then forget to check all the Discords that I belong to. It's my fault. Yeah.
I'm experiencing the same thing. It's my fault as well. I totally hear you, Mike, because 100%. There are a lot of notifications, and you do have to go in there and fiddle with those notifications to make them work right. Phil was talking about hashtags, and now tweet chats, very much community driven as an example of hashtag communities. Yeah. In this chat here, in this message here, whoops, wrong one. This one here, he says, I personally love hashtags, platform independent, and it's very focused. I can meet new people right from my feed. The only issue that I've ever had with hashtags, and I still run into it now, is that you can search for the hashtag. You can search for the hashtag, but there's nothing saying that what's in that hashtag actually pertains to that hashtag.
Yes.
So that's the only thing that I've ever been bothered with it by, because when something becomes popular, a hashtag has any kind of traffic, then you get people who will spam that hashtag with content that has nothing to do with it.
So
that's the only thing
spammy.
that bothers me.
Yeah.
April brings up Slack, which is another great community tool. Slack is a great place to build community. Just wish they had better audio video capability. And Slack is really cool because it's very similar to Discord, and it's been around a little while, so it's quite cool.
I think that's a big thing.
Another one of those options. You have to stick your stake in the ground and say, this is where I'm planting myself, and hope that you can get your people to you. I think.
I promise you, probably out there, anybody that watches this or is going to watch this later, they possibly have never heard of Discord. They possibly have never heard of Slack, but every single one of them has heard of Twitter and Facebook. You know what I'm saying? So
and every single one of them has an opinion about both of those.
Absolutely. Or all of them. Yeah. Any of them. Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
Let's see. What do we got here from Huey? Back in the 80s, I was a BBS. SYSOP. Do you say SYSOP? We were a community back then.
He was a bulletin board service Cyclops.
Right, Cyclops. Okay. I look for friendships, ideas, info, and answers. Giving answers always helps me learn, whether Facebook or Twitter. There's so much sharing. Yep, absolutely. Yep. You have to spend some time researching the hashtags that have community, not the most popular ones. Yeah. Yep, the choice of platform may be driven by the community and the community needs and wants. That's a great point, Russ.
Yeah, topic driven for sure. Absolutely. Tweet chat, Q&As are good conversation. Question 1, answer 1, etc.
I've seen a couple of those. That's something, again, it all has to do with how you invest your time and energy into it, because I'm sure if you spend some time doing it, it becomes normal to you. But for someone who's just seen it for the first time, kind of crazy. Problem is people use generic hashtags instead of creating proprietary ones and then educating their audience. Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people that are they just put a hashtag with whatever they're thinking about, and it burns a lot of other hashtags that might be relevant or something. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Mike said, I like what Lola Ann said. I wanted to get back to that. I'm wanting to participate more in Twitch. Twitch is a great platform for video streaming. I absolutely love it. And you can create a community there. It's just, again, that one to many community instead of many to many.
Yes.
Which is, I think, what we're talking about here, right? That's the difference between,
that's what I think.
You were mentioning YouTube has a community tab.
Yeah.
But really, that's a one to many.
In my opinion.
Opposed to what we're talking about, which is many to many.
Yep, exactly. I mean, you're talking to that owner of that channel, and that's communication from that one person to, many people, but it's coming back and forth, but you don't have the interaction of the inside. You can, but you can't have a conversation. You can't have a conversation started by one of your YouTube subscribers to talk to another YouTube subscriber. You can't have that. But so Mike says any community builder platform is going to require work to configure and work to maintain and keep it clean and safe for your members. It is a job, and you are 100%, which is a big part of this conversation that I was hoping we'd get to. So I'm really grateful that you brought that up, because I think what happens a lot of times, or what gets missed maybe, is, hey, I think it would be nice to have a group or whatever list, however you want to term it. We're saying community, online community. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and start a Facebook group and see who joins. It can be
incredibly discouraging, whether you're on
Daunting.
Facebook or any of those things, to have no one join it because maybe your settings are wrong, or maybe you didn't utilize the right information to get it out there, or you didn't spread the word right, or whatever it could be. Or it could be because it is too much work and you've not put in what needs to happen in order for people to actually respond and participate. So these are the reasons why we're having this conversation, because I want to hear some of your
And
blocks to creating
I
that
agree.
community.
And I think my thing is too, is I think one thing that I think of too is that, how do you find those groups, or how do you find those communities and things like that? I think that it's not simple. You know what I'm saying? There's
Mhm.
no
Mhm.
simple way. Because it'd be awesome to be able to find those things on Discord, but you can't. You have to know what it is and then be invited, etc. Whereas
It's more
Facebook,
like you found the person you want to be a part of their thing and then
right?
find out they have a Discord or whatever it could be, and
Exactly.
then you join that. Yeah,
That's a big
and that's a
difference there
bummer.
too. Yeah, it is. It's tough. And that's one thing that Google Plus was so appealing when it did with their communities, because they had searchable communities that you could go and find. And I really like
Oh,
that.
true. Yeah,
And
true. I like
Facebook's fine, but it's just it's so you can see how the last time somebody was on, etc. Go ahead onto the comment here.
Yeah, no, that's all
Someone's
right.
finding
So when
people-
it comes to finding people who potentially have overlap with you, do you know what questions to ask to draw out the answers you need? I think that is what many people struggle with. Never assume that because you share a common interest means you should be friends or collaborative partners. That
Yeah,
is an excellent point. I mean, but so what we're talking about is this online community idea. I don't think you start collaborating with somebody because you are in the same group. You start collaborating with
mhm,
them because you've been in the same group, you've interacted with them a few times, you've had some common interest,
yeah,
you tend to like each other. It's a building, growing thing. So then once you get to the point where you're like, hey, I think it would be really cool for you and I to do a show, and I'd like it to be about tinkering with tech or something. That happens because of a long period of time of working together on
yes,
different projects and knowing each other a long time through things. So,
yeah. That's not going to
not to
happen
say it
overnight.
couldn't, right? Not to say that it couldn't have happened within 3 months of us knowing. But it didn't
Yeah,
because we worked together and on different projects, and
yeah.
all that happened over time. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and I get that. That's gonna be tough. The biggest thing is it's hard to even build a community too. You know what I'm saying? It's just so tough to start a community. There's so many out there. I mean, I have interest in certain things and then other things I don't. And I know that there's communities out there like a genealogy community. I think it's interesting. I think it's fascinating. Do I want to join a group or not? I love Google Photos. I use Google Photos. Do I want to join the group or not? I love spreadsheets. Do I join that group or not? I mean, that's the kind of
Right.
thing. And how active is it? I mean, is it so geeked out that there's no way you're going to figure anything out? Because you can get intimidated in some of these groups. And I think I
Oh,
can't remember who said it earlier, but somebody said something about it has to be
safe.
non-judgmental atmosphere,
Yes.
safe
Yes.
and
Friendly, safe,
non-judgmental.
non-judgmental.
Yeah, I think that was
Yep.
Andrew. I think, but that I
Yep.
think that's really important. Really important.
Well, and that's hard to maintain, especially, I mean, not to get political, but in today's climate, everybody has an opinion and they are not afraid to use it. So
That's right. Especially when it
it is
comes
a
to just
hard,
words and not actually
any
face to face. Yeah,
any
yeah. When you don't have,
platform. We're talking about
that's
any
right.
platform, not beating up
Right.
anybody or anything. It's
Right.
true. We are
Yeah.
in differing times, and as we're in these times, as someone who holds any kind of position in a group, meaning you're like the leader of that group or the creator of that group or even a moderator of that group,
Yeah.
I think it's important to know that how you interact, whether you post frequently or not, whether you post positively or not, all of these things lead to the climate and the atmosphere of that group. So if you rarely post, and I can attest to this in my Discord channel, this is exactly what the problem is. I rarely post in my
Yeah.
own Discord server. So that
Yeah.
means if I'm not active in there, why would I expect other people to be active in there?
That's
And that
true.
makes total sense. It makes total sense. But if I had a bad attitude, if I came there complaining all the time and told them, how miserable I was, pretty sure I'd have a whole bunch of complainers who were miserable and griping all the time. So I mean, really, it's you do set the tone, as goes the leader, so goes the group, I think is a good general way to say that. But yeah, it is a lot of work. I think Mike hit the nail on the head. I think it was Mike who said that it can be a full-time job. It really can be, to have a good community. I like this. Let's see what April's saying. To Michael's point, communities are very niche field. Nichified. That's the way you say that. It would be nice to find more general communities where people are there solely to build relationships and then take their conversations outside the group to determine where their niches overlap. That would be
I'm glad she mentioned that. I'm glad she mentioned that, because those are pretty cool, but they can get so lopsided off topic. I know that we don't want to go this route, but I mean, very politically driven, whatever. And it just deters a lot of people that way. So to me, you have to be real careful of that broader perspective one is all I'm going to add to that one, in my opinion. That's just what I've found.
If it's a small group though, I mean, if you can control the size of the group and then maybe only let so many people in at a time, that might be a way to do it. But I mean, there's so many different ways to do that. And that's kind of what our question was to start this section off, was how do I do this? Like, where do I go? Do I pay for a service to put onto my website so I can have complete control and be the boss? Or do I go the free route and use something like Facebook and live with whatever changes they throw at me when they throw them?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that is your option you have there too. So you can actually regulate.
I was just going to say, no, go ahead, finish, because I'll say it.
I was just going to say, that's how you rate. It's important, if you are going to do that in a paid and whatever, then regulated and that kind of thing. It kind of is nice to go that route. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. I will say this though, it is going to be a full-time job. No matter which one you do, it's going to be a full-time job to make it work the way you want it to. But also, if you have a paid for service that you're using for a community that's free, I want to talk to you. Because I would really like to know how that works and how you're able to do that. And then the one thing that I was going to say, if you came here to get answers about community 100%, like, okay, now finally we're going to know how to do a community and everything. I don't think that's what this was. This was just a conversation about it, because I think we can have more conversation, maybe even have April on the show talking about it, because she's very passionate about the community stuff.
Obviously.
I'd love to have Jolyn on, because I know Jolyn's a part of the Hilton. I'm just putting this one up for a second. The Hilton Head Island Computer Club. I know that she's very active in there, and she does a lot of great work with her group there. And I'd love to hear how you're successfully doing your groups, your communities, like Lolan is. Lolan has the Success Circle. I'd love to hear about that and what some of your tips are. So if you're a community member of the Tinkering with Tech community, we would love to have you on the show to talk about community in a future episode. So please, 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 let's talk about that in our Google group, where we communicate back and forth as a community. That would be a great place to do that.
Absolutely, 100%. That's what I try and do. I try and put enough avenues where we can chat about those kind of things and get those kind of things out there, and building that community part of it. We have one page on our community website that all it is sharing all your channels. Put your YouTube on here, put your Twitter on here, the networking is, that to me, that networking is so important to building a community. And we've gone long today. We actually did pretty well. I thought it was going to be really short.
I know. I did not expect to do that. I apologize. But we have a lot of community comments in here that are totally valuable. I will tell you, if you're watching this live and you've commented and we haven't brought it up or anything, I'm actually going to take your comments and put them into my database of this conversation, because I think this is worth going further in, getting a little deeper into. I'd love to have you be a part of it. Community is in the eye of the beholder. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
And then Mike had said this about non-judgmental is a big part of my concerns with some of the bigger everyone platforms. Answering a question publicly can be bad for your ego. And you know what's really interesting with that? You can join a community that you absolutely love and enjoy the product, and feel like absolute dirt in that community because of how people talk to you in there.
Mm-hmm.
I experience this on a regular basis. I'm not going to talk
Yeah.
about the community. I'm just going to say you can definitely experience that. It's kind of a bummer. It's kind of a bummer. But, you know, that's just the way that goes sometimes. So you have to choose wisely. And I think that's a big part of what we've communicated here today is joining them, leading them. How do you do it? Why would you do it? What does it mean to you?
Yeah. I like April says, what I do know about me is that I'm seeking to belong to a community of action takers. So if you know of any, hook a sister up. Jolyn says,
I'm there with you.
Great conversation. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
no.
good. I'm glad. I like what Lolan said too. Very worthwhile conversation. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed the conversation. I'd love to continue it more. Maybe Tinkering with Tech's not the place to dive deeper into it. Maybe it's
Backstage.
more of a private conversation. Definitely backstage we're going to be talking about it a little bit more. So
yeah, that's one thing that's a benefit of the community is that we do have that backstage afterward. After this show is over, we can come in and talk to each other. It's
where
one of
we'll
the
be
things
talking
whenever
about
I have
my art, right? That's where we're going to talk about my art.
Yes, we'll mute you and you can talk about your art all you like. That's no problem.
Okay, fine.
No, but thank you, Heather, for being you and being a guest on today. No, I'm just kidding.
I know it did kind of feel that way. It was like, okay, my topic of discussion. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my show.
That's a good one, though. You've had a couple of weeks to think about it and go over it too in your head too, because you thought of this a couple of weeks ago and I said, man, that's a great idea. I got a guest on next week. So,
exactly.
So you said, okay, we'll do it in 2 weeks. So no, hey, listen, thank you everybody that's out there. We appreciate you watching. Anybody that rewatches this, that's amazing. Be sure to give a thumbs up, all that kind of stuff, likes, anything like that. We just need to open up and conversate. Yeah, absolutely. And that, I think a lot of times that's one thing that I really love about our community too, is I do a daily tip. So we meet almost every day. And then after that daily tip, sometimes we sit there for a half hour to an hour, just going over other stuff and helping with other things and just communicating.
I have to say to that point, and this is totally about our conversation today too, is that there have been many times where I've said, okay, I have a tip today. And Greg says, the tips are only like 10, 15 minutes long, right? And I said, yeah, at most. I said, but if I don't leave an hour to it, like don't set aside an hour to be in there, I'm going to be in trouble because they're going to talk about something I cannot walk away from. This has happened way too many times. So it's a great conversation. It always is a great conversation. Somebody brings something wonderful to the table almost every day. So
yep,
gotta love it.
All right, folks, listen, thank you so much, everybody. I really do appreciate it. Oh, hello, Eileen. Thank you so much. You're so sweet. It was cool. Thank you, Phil. Appreciate you coming. And we're going to call it an evening or a day or whatever it is for you guys, because some people are in the afternoon. So, we appreciate you, though, and thank you. And we will see any of the community members. There will be a link in the Hangout message box, and we will get you in here. And thank you so much, everybody, for watching. We appreciate you. Thanks, Heather. Bye.